Mrs. Bianchi here. We're looking at number 6, and they ask us to find the area of the shaded region. So when we decompose this shape, it's my hope that you see that we have, this is a square, and just because it's turned on its side doesn't mean that it's not a square. It's a square. Let me put that back on there so you can see. All right, and then we also have some triangles. So I'm going to try to rotate this so you can see that that fits on there. Now, the one thing that I should mention is it appears as though the two triangles are equal and congruent. Let's tilt this, put that on there. All right, so we have the red square and we have two congruent or equal sized triangles. And by the way, evidence that it's congruent, they both have a base of 3 and they both have a height of 4. They're the same dimensions. Let's start with the square. We can use either of these formulas, but it's probably a good idea to get comfortable with the square formula, which is area equals the side squared. And if we substitute in the values, the side is 3, and if we square that, that's the same thing as doing 3 times 3, which would be 9. Now, if we had used the black formula, then we would have substituted in area equals 3 times 3, and we also would have gotten 9. So that's not necessarily the wrong way to do it. Either one of these formulas would work, but this one's the one we want you to get comfortable with. And then to be completely correct, it's always a good idea to go ahead and put on the units. So it's 9 square units. Let's talk about the triangles. Now, if we're interested in finding the area of one of the triangles, we would do half of the base. So the base on that, remember all the sides of a square are equal. So if this is 3, wouldn't the opposite side be 3? The base is 3. The height has to be perpendicular to the base, which this line right here represents perpendicular to being to the base. So that's 4. Now I'm going to leave a little space, and it'll be clear in just a second why. If we press on with finding the area of one of the triangles, we might take half of 4, which would be 2, and we would multiply that by the remaining 3. And if we're interested in the area of one of the triangles, we would multiply 2 times 3 and get the answer there. But I want to remind you that we don't have just one, we have 2 triangles that shape. So some math students like to show that in the beginning by saying we have 2 triangles that each would have, we would find the area by doing half of the base times height. So if you want to slip that 2 in the beginning, you could. And some people would simplify this before they simplify this, just because that's super easy. But if not, you'll finish up this computation and you're going to have some number that you'll have when you multiply all 3 of these numbers together. After that, you're going to take whatever value you have here and add it to this value, and that will give you the area of the entire figure.